myself, I'm gonna let myself be a little silly. I have been wanting, I've been curious about this Tinkerbell, oh, what do you call it? Filter. And now I understand why it's called Tinkerbell. So this is me with whatever purple eyes. I can't even see, like, and I was like, I've been having some fun playing with it for the past few minutes, but I wasn't going to actually use it because the thing that I came on to talk about is, it's actually heavy. But then I thought, let's have a little lightness. Let me be ridiculous. I don't use filters typically, so this is it's a little uncomfortable for me. But I think my eyes match my glasses, so I'm just gonna play with it and have fun. I've also got 2 cameras going, and I've never done this before either. And I know there's a better way to set things up, but I'm gonna be looking at 2 different screens, and we'll just see how annoying this is for people. So I had an experience. It was very brief today. And I just, when I realized the message for myself, I wanted to share it with, hello, Mina. I wanted to share it because I know there's some other people out there who are struggling with this thing that I've been struggling with, or feeling just aware of it and maybe feeling fearful. Okay, so we are in these crazy times, just crazy times. And depending upon who you talk to, there's so many stories out there about what's going on. It's amazing. And I don't have an answer to what's going on. Like, I don't fall solidly in one camp or another. I see pieces of truth in a lot of different stories that are out there. And for the most part, I've been able to keep myself, I'm enjoying this Tinkerbell experience. So I'm focusing on Tinkerbell, and the folks on the other camera are just like, they're getting the side of my face. So I've been able to stay pretty balanced and grounded in myself while I'm hearing all of these fearful stories coming around. And I've been super grateful for that. Recently, the past couple of weeks, I've noticed the stickiness. Like, if I spend too much time in a particular conversation, like, this group over here is talking about the apocalypse, and it's, from a very evangelical Christian perspective. And this group over here is talking about the apocalypse from a purely economic, actually not purely economic, but they're more economically focused on the destruction of things, like, it's, you guys know what I'm talking about. I'm sure that you've heard something out there about what's coming down the pike. And it's scary. Like, it just is. We don't have to marinate in the fear. We don't have to live in that place. We don't have to carry it around. We don't have to, invite it into every conversation that we have. But I think if we're all being truthful, it's intimidating, at the gentlest way of describing it. And it's, I've had moments of like, when I use the word terror, just recognizing I'm not prepared if these disasters happen. I am still in a new location for me. All of my solid network, at least the way that I feel, my solid network is elsewhere. across the country, scattered across the country. So there's just these, an awareness that I'm not as safe and secure as I'd like to be. Now, I understand that there are people who are really safe and secure. They've got all the supplies, they've got their money saved up, they've got all these resources and they don't feel safe and secure. So I get those things. But it's been that there's just a lot that we just don't have control over. And there's a lot happening and it's happening rapidly. And word on the street is it's just going to accelerate. It's just going to continue to accelerate. Now, one of the things that's helped me over the past couple of years is actually one of the things that's helped me for many, many years, which is why I talk about it when I do, is tuning back into our mythic stories, like our old stories. And I enjoy and get a lot of benefit out of paying attention to astrology when it's people who deliver that interpretation skillfully and well. Like there's a lot of garbage. There's a lot of garbage out there, but there's some excellent people who have a symbolic understanding of what's happening, and that helps my nervous system. I am a person who enjoys stories. Humans across the board are creatures who benefit from we're able to place ourselves into some kind of sense of belonging when we hear stories. And we often self-select the stories that we feel make sense to us. Another way of saying makes sense to us is saying we gravitate towards the stories, we like the stories that resonate with us, for people who use the language of resonance. So human beings, and there are physiological, the word expression is in my head, but for those of us out in the world who like to know, well, what's the science behind it? You're saying a bunch of words, where's the proof? There are studies involving storytelling, and they're really cool. But for someone like me, I am much more experiential, and I know the experience that I have had over the course of my life, hearing stories, particularly the old myths, and I'm also including fairy tales in this, folk tales. They give us a sense of community and belonging, and this isn't the first time this has happened. So what happened today, as I am, in the back of my mind and doing it in a very calm way, because I've been using my skills. I've been using my breath practices. I have been very selective about the kind of information that I've been taking in. I've been taking naps when I need to, whatever it is that, my care practices change. But what I'm saying there is, whatever your practices of like not going crazy are, keep doing those, as healthy and life supportive as you can choose. Now is not the time for us to be mindlessly participating in habitual disappearing, checking out. Sometimes the checkout is necessary. What I'm encouraging you to do is make the highest quality choices for your checkout as you can. We don't need to be doing more damage to our bodies. We don't need to be robbing ourselves of sleep. We don't need to be exacerbating any anxiety we might already have. Like whatever you have access to that is actually nourishing to your body, to your spirit, to your nervous system specifically, those are the things that we want to be doing more and more and more of. And it's really good to get some sort of routines in place. And this is coming from the non-routine person. So back in my head, I'm listening to these things that people have been saying. I went and priced a freezer. Like that's where my head has been. And I don't think that's actually unreasonable. Just in life in general, you know, there's certain things that it's useful to have. I heard someone say, and this conversation was a repeat of a conversation that had happened years ago. So this was not like a fresh thing that was happening today. It was a someone going over a conversation from the past, like years ago. And the reason why I say it that way is because it is very important for us to, on some level, remember that the things that we're experiencing in the world, they're new to us. And it's a cycle. It's like old news to the world that has been here for hundreds of thousands of years. So what this person said, and it was very simple, is that we don't have a tolerance for the fact that it is natural for life to decline. Their word was decline. In my word, it landed as death. Death and dying is natural. And we, of course, we don't like it. Like we, you know, there's like the very physical, obvious, whatever it is we do to keep ourselves looking and feeling young as we get older. That's like the obvious one. The things that aren't so obvious to us that are also a struggle with letting go of what is changing. Change is another word for death, for decline, decay. You know, flowers right now, what I'm thinking of are flowers. So I used to keep fresh flowers around all the time. And one of the things that I started doing when I became aware of the training from my culture that I had, and by culture, I mean like the US, like we are, once the flower starts to wilt, you know, some people will like hang out with it for as long as they can, but like once it loses its color, it starts dropping its petals, the leaves start curling up. Once it starts looking ugly, we throw it out. Like that's what we do. It's, you know, like it's old. It's not bringing me joy. It's not attractive anymore. And when I realized that I had a habit of doing that as well, I started letting these flowers stay in the vase. Now I would change the water out, but I would watch them break down. And it was just a good practice for me in not trying to distance myself so quickly from things that are not in their prime anymore. It's hard. That's a hard thing to do. And I'm not at all suggesting that I'm masterful at it. That's not what this conversation is about. What I want people to hear is that we are in a natural cycle of life. So there's what's happening in my head right now is that there is a bigger story about what's happening in the world. And it's not just one country going through this, even though maybe it feels like it to the people in that one country. All over the world, things are happening that maybe we thought would never happen. So like that's a form of decline. This was the solid state for however many decades, centuries, whatever. This is the way things have always been. People never do that kind of thing. This never happens. And now all of a sudden, all sorts of things are happening that we didn't think could or would or should happen. decline, death, decay, change. There's other words that are coming in, but I'm just going to stick with those. So when I heard this person say this, that we are so uncomfortable with decline, with the natural reality of decline, things just settled in, they just settled for me. That doesn't, I'm not saying that I'm not still feeling edgy about my ability to pivot, to respond, to cope, to manage, to do whatever it is I need to do. If some of these, what feel like extreme changes and extreme expressions of decline happen, like, yeah, I can feel places in my body that are very much on high alert. And this person's very simple statement that we have lost our tolerance for decline, natural decline. The message is decline, and all of the other words that I've used. These are natural. This is natural. It's a natural process. It's a natural process in the natural world. Like, and we are part of the natural world, guys. Like, you know, we humans, and I do this myself a lot as well. I hear us talking about the natural world, nature, you know, let's go out into nature and this place and that creature. And we, like, we are also nature. And remembering that feels like part of this decline that's happening, you know, these systems that are being disrupted, these ways of being, these expectations that we've had of waking up in the morning and the day going in a certain way and everything staying a certain way. I feel that these disruptions are also, for those of us who can pay attention in that way, and it'll look different for everyone who chooses to pay attention in that way. You know, what does that way mean? It's going to look different for each of us, but there will be the fear and the anxiety and all of the curse words and explosions in the mind and the emotional centers. All of that's also going to happen. Like, we are going to have our feelings about what is happening. It's, you know, depending upon what thing you are looking at, what events you are tuned into, there's something that each one of us can say that scares the crap out of me. Like, I'm terrified of that thing. And the loss of those things, whatever they are. And there's a lot of things, guys, like, you know, we can probably all think that I'm talking about like just a handful of really big things, but there are a lot of things that are happening and shifting, and like there's like the physical earthquake, and then there's the energetic earthquakes that then pop up in like real people's lives. Like, there's a lot happening. It's not just the major news stories. It's like so much is happening, and shifting and changing, and depending upon who we're tuning into, what conversations we're tuning into, what lineages of knowledge, there's a lot of Yeah, I'm going to stick with there's a lot of, because there is a world full of people with ancestral knowledge and lineages of wisdom that are that have stories about what these times are about. And I do not believe, and I think I can say I do not accept that any one group of people has the right story or the true story. The image of that elephant, I don't know what we would call it, but like, I'm sure everybody's heard the story of the elephant, and it's a story that demonstrates to us how each of us can have a piece of a thing, blindfolded, not able to see the whole thing. Like, it's not for the human mind to see the whole thing, whatever the whole thing is. So each of us have a piece, and maybe some of us have a couple of pieces that are like spread around the elephant. And some of it's really useful, meaningful information, and maybe some of it is or is not. You know, leave that up to you to make your decisions about. We as nature, and we could say part of nature, but I'm really wanting to say we as nature, because again, we put nature out there. Nature is someplace we go to. And parts of it are, and we are nature. Like, if we come across a termite mound, we're going to call that nature. Well, our buildings are termite mounds. They're nature. That's how I see it. And I know that there are other people who see it that way. Bringing ourselves back into that family, like the natural world family, is something that's going to be, I mean, it's already been happening. Like, it's like we've been accelerated. Certainly we have been initiated, and we continue to receive initiations as we're going through this. The word portal comes up. I try not to stay in these like energetic terms, but birth canal, although I'm not really feeling like we're in the birth canal stage yet, doorways, et cetera, like painting a picture for you, giving you a sense of, yes, chaos and confusion and crazy and fear-making things happening all over the place, multiple times a minute, it feels like. And we are nature. We are part of nature for those folks who don't want to be nature. And this is a cycle. The world, this planet, humanity has been through cycles of revolution and evolution and decline. Death. Many, many times before we arrived, you know, this generation of humans, and I'm including everyone who's on the planet at this time as like one generation going through this particular cycle. So I want to offer that message, you know, like what are those little fortune cookies coming to mind with the strip of paper inside, just saying, hey, remember, you've never been comfortable with decline. And so the invitation is to learn how to see this process that we're in of things dropping away, of sudden changes, because some of this stuff is bigger than any one person, I feel like we're so I'm pausing because I also don't feel like now is the time to start trying to the image of a really strong wind is coming to me. So like if we're like charging into the wind with all of our weapons and our tools and like, it's got to be this way, this is what needs to happen. And then this huge gale force winds are like rushing back to meet us and they're going to win. I don't feel it's time on a large scale to try and, change what is changing. I feel like this is me. It's the perspective that I'm offering. I feel like we are still in a phase where on an individual level, we need to develop some skills. We need to learn how to have conversations without losing our shit with people. Not to say that we won't on occasion, but if that is our natural resting place, that we're always combative, we're always judging the other person, we're always assuming that we know what they're going to say and what they're about, we need to unlearn that, or we just need to put that on the shelf with some of the other playground things that we have outgrown. And we need to develop the skills of communication, debate, inquisitiveness, inquiry, curiosity about viewpoints. We need to learn individually within ourselves, within our one-to-one relationships, because that's the most immediate place where a lot of us can learn how to talk to another person and how to listen to another person without getting all there's a phrase in my head that I'm not going to use but I come across it on these platforms from time to time, and it just makes me laugh every time. I don't know where it came from, but anyway, that's happening in my head. But offended is another word for it. Offended, automatically assuming that the other person is out to attack. Like those things all may be true. We will burn ourselves out if we haven't already, if we just show up in combat mode. I'm sorry, my nose is running. My brain is leaking. We have to learn new skills, and that's just one skill. Like there's the practical skills, people are talking about learning to grow your food. If you don't know how to do that, if that's not a thing you've been doing for the past decade, there are so many physical, practical skills that we would benefit from learning. Even if the world doesn't fall apart, even if the apocalypse is not upon us within the next 6 months, like learning how to grow something out of the ground, incredibly grounding practice for the body. Like our bodies are a part of this earth. They are going to stay with the earth when we leave them. These bodies are made for the things of this earth, the soil, the seeds, the things that grow out of the ground. We're in a greenhouse. And coming back to those practices, weaving, sewing, stitching, cooking, reading a physical book. And I brought a book here. I'll come to that in a moment. So doing with our hands, being on the ground, in our, like with our bare feet, with our skin touching the earth, with our skin touching the skin of the earth. Like these are going to be beneficial to us, because one of the stories, and there are actually many stories, but one of the stories is we've been in a very deliberate time of change and transformation. And I don't have the dates memorized, but from now until 2030 is like one of the time frames. And all of that information can get overwhelming. I'm only sharing that because there are many, many people who are skilled in their craft, skilled in their language, skilled in their history, the history of their wisdom traditions, who can tell the story of what these times are about. And it's different stories depending upon what culture you're tapped into. But I just want you to know many, many, many layers to what we're experiencing. On a few of those layers, or maybe a lot of those layers, but I just want you to know, like, and I'm saying a few or a lot because it's not just one culture, it's not just one cultural perspective, it's many, many cultural perspectives, so many, many layers. There's a story of purpose to this. We may not have the meaning because we don't know what the outcome is. Half the time, like the way things have been going lately, like we don't even know what's going on. So like, it's like, oh shit, that just happened. Okay. You know, we are, in some ways, we're very much along for the ride. Now, that doesn't mean we need to be passive like that. I know there's some people out there who are probably hearing me and they're like, you know, I'm not going to lay down, and like, whatever, fine, don't lay down. But understand, I just want to go back to the way things were, used to mean one thing to us. The way that planet Earth is shaking off whatever it's shaking off and clearing out whatever it's clearing out and breaking up whatever it's breaking up. And the pile of words that just landed in my head, like, we are a part of what is happening. What is happening is not just about us. It's not just about the individual human. It's not just about the humans on the planet. It is about the entire life on this earth. We cannot control and manipulate and possess everything. And I see that is one of the lessons that if we want to pay attention to it, that's one of the lessons that we can pull from this. And so what does it mean if I'm not in control of everything in my environment? I mean, it means a lot of things. So like there's fear that absolutely comes up with that. And it's important to feel what we're actually feeling. And I think it's important to be aware of what we're thinking, what thoughts come up in response to what we're witnessing in the world and in our communities. In addition to the fear and the anxiety and the anger and the whatever else is coming up. And I just want to take a moment to say, I know there are some people out there who are blissed out and they are not, like, they're not in this experience. They're not hanging out. And, you know, so I just want to acknowledge that that is also a possibility for some people, probably just a very small percentage of people on planet Earth right now. And that's okay. I believe that, and I have experienced and witnessed in my life that we're not all meant to do the same thing. We're not all meant to be on the same team, and it's not that one team's better or one team's worse or one team is again, I'm going to use this word, not an abomination in the eyes of God just because the way that they show up is different from this group over here. Like humanity, humans. And again, my mind most often finds an argument for what I say. Like that's just the way my brain works. I don't really get to like say a thing and then not have some opposite come into my head. So I understand that there are humans who are wicked. I get it. And sometimes simplifying and oversimplifying is necessary in order to take the most expedient, efficient actions to deal with things. I understand that. What I want to bring more people to is the idea of collaboration. So if I can't be in control of everything, everything in my environment, what are my options? And I'm asking myself personally, I'm offering this question to those of you out there who are able to hear it. Start asking yourself intelligent questions. If I can't control the thing, whatever it is in your life that is stressing you out, that is causing you anxiety, that is causing you grief, if I can't control my environment or everything in my environment or most things in my environment or anything in my environment, wherever you are right now in your experience in life, what is the invitation? That's a question that we can ask. What is the invitation? And if each of us asking this question, we're going to get different responses because we are different creations. We are different. I'm going to use my language. We are different versions of God, of spirit, of creation. And if we go back to a number of traditions, religious, spiritual traditions, who say that God created humanity to experience itself. The universe created humanity and Earth. You see, I'm still learning to keep myself in the package. The universe, spirit, God, in the words that you use, created Earth, this experience, to experience itself. And there are many, many different versions of God. Because look around the world, look at this Earth and how many different things there are, experiences, expressions. So your response to the question, what is the invitation here? What am I being called to be, do, say, hear, feel, not do, not say, not feel? What is the invitation? That's actually a really good question to ask because it's open-ended. And then you start paying attention to the information that comes in, to what you're hearing. I heard today that I need to remember that, yes, I feel fear about what I think I see happening around me. And I cannot escape the reality of a life that declines, whether it's the life of a battery, the life of a law. I went there. The life of a pet, a parent, a friend, a friendship. You know, the people are still alive, but the friendship has died, the marriage has died, the relationship with the family member in decline. This is not to say that if we know that there are repairs that we need to make, responsibilities that we need to take, actions that we need to take to conserve what we can conserve, preserve what we can preserve. Words are powerful, people. Pay attention to how you're using words and the words that you're tuning into. Being willing to make room within ourselves for the reality of decline does not mean that we're giving up on life. It means, as far as I understand, and I only understand this far, but this is what I can offer as something for you to launch with, if this is a totally new practice for you. And if it's not a totally new practice, but you haven't really, been in it, then just take some of these tools and play with them. So I lose my track. I lose my thought path. I'm not sure where I was heading. Doesn't mean we give up, but it is becoming increasingly more valuable and necessary to take a step back or to pause and reflect on what information is coming in. It is becoming increasingly necessary that we have a skillful way of grounding ourselves pretty quickly, so that when we do respond to what is happening in our environment, we are able to do it from a place of greater stability than total reliance on fear or rage or any number of the other go-tos that a lot of us have that are not going to be able to move us forward. So again, I will repeat, learning to respect and honor the reality of decline, or the role of decline as a natural part of the order of life. Learning to respect decline as a process that belongs with us. And in no way am I saying it's easy. I struggle with this all the time. And I've said this before, but this is one of the reasons why we use the word practice. Practice suggests that, it suggests to us that haven't, whatever area that we're practicing in, that we haven't hit mastery, it suggests that we haven't hit mastery. That's, one of the things that practice. I'm doing this again and again and again. I'm picking myself up when I get angry with someone and show it when I didn't want to have that as a dynamic in the relationship. Things like this. Practice. We do it again and again and again. And hopefully we have people around us who support us in our practices. because nobody's perfect. I don't care what anybody tells you out there. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's got anything figured out. Nobody has got anything figured out. We are all touching this freaking huge elephant. And maybe some of us have our eyes open, but that elephant is bigger, blocking the view. So we're still only seeing part of it. So do not let anybody tell you or convince you that they know all of what's going on. We have pieces. Sorry, all my voice is just like, so our practices do a lot of things for us. They bring our attention inward, and that is not a selfish or self-centered act in the sense of it being detrimental to you or someone else. It is actually one of the ways that we become stronger here within ourselves first, and learn to make changes within ourselves first when we're paying attention to ourselves, and then responding to the things that we notice, the wonderful things and the things that like, okay, it's time that I let that thing go because it is not helping me anymore. We are all in a period of time of learning how to do this more skillfully and with more dedication. So again, I don't know where I am on the path. What I'm saying to you. I'll go back to, it doesn't mean we give up. It means that, well, one of the things it means a number of things. And I don't know all of what it means. What I can see and what I can experience in my life and in the lives of some of the people around me is a skill set that would benefit more of us if more of us would do the work of developing this sort of self-awareness, this quality of self-awareness. Because when we have qualities of self-awareness, and we will never know all there is to know about ourselves. It's kind of the fun and the mystery of life, like really. And the more self-aware we are, the more we understand why we react to a certain person or a certain tone of voice or a certain flower that we pass along the way or a certain store or a certain thought or a book or a song or whatever. Like the more we understand why, like that touched me and brought up a memory, and then we go and explore the memory. It is a lot of work. I can hear some of you saying that's too much work. It is. It's a lot of work. That's why a lot of people don't do it. Another reason why a lot of people don't do it is because a lot of people don't know that this is a thing that can be done and a thing to be done. So think of it as like you've got a basket and someone has set you to the task of collecting a variety of berries, strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, black raspberries, which are kind of a rare thing to find. So different berries, and you've been set with this basket and you're going out to check out these berries. Well, some of those berry bushes have stickers on them. It's a little prickly in there. Same thing with ourselves. Some things don't want to be looked at, don't want to be like pulled from the vine, the bush or whatever. That's part of it. We've got some stuff in here that's sticky, that maybe some of the sticky needs to stay, and we need to learn how to be in relationship with people for whom that sticky is difficult, but that sticky is genuinely a true part of ourselves. That's true. Some of that sticky needs to go because it's just not serving us or anyone else around us. And then you've got things like strawberries, which are, you know, there's no violence with pulling a strawberry off the vine. You just pluck it and it's there. It's a different berry. But we have an internal thing like that too. Way more berries than I know how to name. I guess there's mulberries and golden berries. I don't know enough berries to like name all the berries to give a nice comparison of the things that we have in our own internal solar system that when like Okay, so what's happening in my head is, yes, it is also good to be as simplistic as possible, like simplistic, like simple, to keep it simple. So there's a point at which, you know, all this inward gazing, like we got to stop when we turn our view back out on the world and participate in the world again. There's a balance to it. And right now we need to be more self-aware. We need to know what sets us off, what, like, where our manipulation points are. We need to know what we still love. That is so important. What still brings you joy? What still, and what brings you joy motivates you? I'm going to ask the question, what motivates you? I'm going to ask that separately because that might hit some brains differently. Same question, or at least same invitation to consider what gets you going, what inspires you to participate or to create. We need a higher quality of self-awareness to get through these times. We need practices that calm us down, that don't rely heavily on things that damage us, you know? So I'm gonna let you guys decide what that is for you. I've got a couple of ideas in my own mind, like the standards, but I'm gonna let you decide what that actually means for you. Like what have been your typical go-tos for checking out, for soothing yourself, for, you could say, taking care of yourself, making sure you're okay. What have been your coping strategies that aren't also nourishing to your body, mind, spirit? Because we need both. And maybe you don't give up all of what has like is contributing, is damaging. So, you know, something that, like, okay, so here's like kind of a neutral example. Any streaming service that has a show that you love, binging the show, which we love to do, and wrecking your sleep habits so that when you get up and you have to function in the morning for whomever you have to function for, you are not actually able to do it in a way that's comfortable for you and maybe even the people around you. So instead of binging on whatever streaming service has the things that you like to binge on, what are some additional or other choices that you could be making that would allow you to rest from the world while still actually taking care of yourself, like supporting your body, contributing to energy rather than depleting it? Okay, I'll leave that there. So I'm going to share a book. I went looking in this book to see if there was a clear story about the cycle of decline. So in the maiden, mother, crone trinity, there's the maiden, who is spring, you know, the beginning of things, the initiator. You might think of the maiden as the cardinal signs in on the zodiac. They start, they're young, like youth. And there's the mother, the maintainer, and male, female, masculine, feminine, yin, yang, we all have these qualities within us. I'm using maiden, mother, crone because that's the one I've spent the most time in my life, clearly. But also from a teaching perspective, it's a story and it's a teaching tool that many of my teachers over the years have gone back to. So the mother, like fixed energy, the mother stabilizes. So we could think of like the fixed signs in the zodiac. And Mother raises, mother, like that quality, male, female, doesn't matter, that part of the Trinity maintains what the first part, well, I'm not even going to say that because that's actually not true. It's a circle. So we come to the crone, who has gathered all of this wisdom over this lifetime, the lifetime of this cycle, whatever it is, the crone. Wisdom, integration, stability, solid in what one knows, and an appreciation for what one doesn't know. And that crone part of the cycle is tipping back into the unknown. And every cycle has the mysteries attached. You know, the mystery of initiation, and I have this inspiration, I have this new life in me, this idea in me, and I'm going to put it out in the world, and I don't know where it's going to land. Like, I have an idea, I have a vision, but once we put that initiation, that idea, that spark out into the world, and we give it some, like, you know, in that initiatory phase where we're generating the energy for that idea to find a place to root. And then in the mother phase, that place roots, and even in part of the initiatory phase. What I'm saying is each phase also is in relationship with the mystery. You know, for all of you who are physical mothers, mothering is a mystery. You don't know what's coming, you know, from the moment of knowing that you are a mother, going to be a mother, from the moment that you are a mother. It's a mystery. And everything that comes out of that life, whether you are creating a human or a community, a business, a piece of art, these are all forms of mothering. And there's many, many more. Mystery is involved. We don't know. We don't know what we don't know, and we don't know. And then we come into the crone, the elder years, we have reached a point of mastery. So going back to what I was saying, where I drifted off in my canoe on practice and mastery, even masters practice, they're so in the practice that it has become mastery. That is my witnessing of certain people who have just developed and refined and are now existing at this place of the practice is the mastery. It is masterful expression. The crone in each of us reaches that level throughout life. So there's the physical crone of age and eldering. There's also the croning throughout all stages of life, depending upon who the person is, what the experience is. We can hit all of those parts of the Trinity at any stage of our human chronological life. And the crone is the part where we are facing decline. Like, we start to face decline in each of those stages, actually. You know, the maiden going into the mother, there's a period of decline that we're no longer maidening. You know, people who get married, going from single to married, there's a decline. Like, you're no longer single. And then the fear comes up, you know, like they used to call it, was it called frozen feet or something else? Like, you guys know, those of you who know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. But like, this fear comes up and we want to stop the process. That's the thing. That's the thing that I'm getting at. I have a number of doulas and midwives over the course of my professional life, and a number of women who have been through labor and childbirth who've told me their stories. And I'm thinking of the men who've told me the stories of their women who went through this birthing process. Hopefully you guys can knit together where I was going with that, because it's gone again. Yes, going from one stage and way of being to another. There is a portal, there is a transition place, and it is often messy, dark, confusing. Birth is used as a story. There's other words for it, analogy, but birth is used as a story often to explain to people the experience of moving from a known place to an unknown place. So the baby in utero, in what we think is the warm environment, the muffled sounds, the fluid that like contributes to this sense of weightlessness. All of the food is being delivered, all of the nourishment is being delivered, and then depending upon the state of your mother's environment, what else she may be able to provide. So there's the known environment. The mother gets used to the body being a particular way. You know, first of all, there's that maiden, no other life there, and then into the transformation of the body. So like no longer, like there's no going back, never going to be like the always changed in that inspired by an idea, whether it's a physical human or another type of life that wants to come into being. Once we say yes to that, once we step into that or are pulled into that, we're pulled into the mystery. And this experience of being pulled into the mystery and not knowing and having to let go of what we thought we knew, of what felt safe, because there are times when we get to have a choice about this, and there are times when we don't get to have a choice about this, and we seem to be in a time where we don't have a choice about what is happening. We have a choice, many choices about how we respond, and we are better equipped to respond with strength when we have developed stability and clarity within ourselves. I'm just asking myself if I want to add those extra words that are coming, and I don't. I want to leave that there open-ended for you guys. So that is a lot of what's been on my mind lately. Mostly the fear and anxiety that was beginning to build up for me, partly because of what I've been tuned into, and it's been many diverse voices. But a lot of recognizing that I can't stop it, and it's difficult, very uncomfortable to be truthful with myself about that. And once I've given myself some time to be truthful with that, you know, not rushing on to the next thing, The next thing being, well, how do I fix it? Yeah. Yeah. So I think right now what I'm doing in my life is I am giving myself a little bit of time to be honest about the reality that there are many things that I cannot change, because it's not just the events that are happening externally, that is also about what's happening internally. I'm going to continue aging until my body is not breathing anymore. And I can't, the things that are changing in my body, I cannot. I can choose foods, there are plants that I can work with, there's body work that I can um, participate in or request. There are friendships that I can lean into. Like there are resources that I have. I still can't change the fact that I'm getting older and I'm getting closer to decline. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. And I shared that example with you. It's like that's something we're all gonna come across. Like I have heard 19, 20, and 21-year-olds talk about how they feel they're declining. They're getting old, they can't do the things they used to be able to do anymore. It happens throughout the life cycle, guys. That I want you to really hear that. It's not something that just happens in old age. This idea of declining, death, letting go, release, things like that. And it's not just the physical that I'm talking about. This conversation started with like world events, the way the world is being impacted right now and shifted and disrupted. That's where this conversation started. Decline isn't just the end stage, like it is throughout all the stages. And it's going to be very helpful to those of us who can like reclaim that back into our experience, our awareness, and like, yes, this is a natural part of the process. How do I participate in it in the best way? How do I participate in this in the best way? And you let yourself receive direction, whatever that means for you. And when you receive direction, asking for direction is participation. There will be times when we're called into very active participation, and when you have a clear understanding. And by understanding doesn't mean you know what the outcome is. You just understand what your role is. I am meant to do this. I am meant to say this. I am meant to change this. We participate where we are meant to participate. And some of us are going to find that there's a lot of things that we're not meant to participate in. But while you might be focusing in on some areas where you can really give your energy and attention, whether that's your home, family, business, whether that's the social structures of the city or country that you live in, while you are refining where you're putting your energy, somebody else is making a different choice and putting their attention and energy in a different direction. And I say that because for some of us, there's a lot of anxiety around, well, this thing over here is being neglected. Well, if you really feel like that thing over there needs your attention, you're gonna like, you got to get clear. Where can I really put my time and energy? What am I really devoted to? We don't have to be serving in all the places. give yourself an opportunity to respect the cycles of nature as nature and as part of nature. Give yourself the space and time to get clear about your roles, your values, and that's where getting guidance, that's where I use that language. And then prepare yourself to take action. And again, that means a lot of things. You know, do you like what? I say it takes a lot of things because I want to help people who think it has to be something big or it has to be about other people. You might get instructions from your source for instructions that really has you focusing inward on your immediate surroundings, your immediate family, your immediate friendships. Your instructions for your role in this breakdown, breakdown to breakthrough is showing up in my head. Your role may be more local and someone else's role may be like broader, more distant. I want people to hear that there's going to be a lot of different roles out there. We are participating in the creation of something new. It's falling apart right now, but you know, that's another thing that nature does. Nature falls apart. You know, think of a tree that's rotting and the fungi and the other critters that come along to assist in the breakdown. And that material is like made into this beautiful, nutrient dense, rich soil that's growing up new things. Like that is a story about what is happening right now. And it's not just the beauty that we're focusing on. There's the decay and the roles of those beings that understand how to participate in the breakdown of things in a way that isn't unnecessarily destructive. Like decline and decay and destruction within the natural order of things, not more, you know, not being extra human. Okay, I'm gonna close this down and go to sleep. Thanks for letting me shine these Tinkerbell eyes. It's super fun. I might pull Tinkerbell out more. And those of you catching the video, if I get this video up, I don't know if the sound came through, but you don't get a filter. So it's kind of looking like a college dorm. And I think my phone is sitting off to the side here. I just caught it in the side view. So, you know, whatever. I'm not running a production studio here. Yeah. So hopefully something in here was helpful, and I will be back for more conversations at some point. Thanks.